because we don't scrape them off. You did?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Hopefully it's scraped off.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't understand what the rocket science about this.
Put down, yeah.
It's a votive candle lighter. That's what it's for, lighting votives.
You need to teach a class on how to light candles.
When we had the other one too, it was like, they're doing it now, it's in the process. And they've got a whole row of instructions on the land. It's next weekend is Ellen's birthday, so I
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. Shabbat Shalom. Pleasure to be back. And it feels so good to see all of you tonight. We're going to continue with candle lighting on page 9. Anne, would you light the candles for us?
It's probably one of those high-tech ones.
Just point it down.
Okay,
It's
thank
above
you. Oh, my goodness. There it is. Baruch
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Page 10. Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bachuni leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeichem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Let's take a moment now to settle into our chairs and take a few breaths. Let whatever we've been going, doing, running toward, let us set it aside and just be. Just be ourselves, surrounded by beautiful souls who also have come tonight to welcome Shabbat, to connect with our tradition and our Creator, and to express gratitude for all the gifts we're so privileged to receive. Page 14, L'chadodi. L'chadodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. L'chadodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולהילה. לחדודי לקראת קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לחדודי לקראת קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לחדודי לקראת קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לחדודי לקראת קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי בעורק ומיורי. אורי אורי שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לחדודי לקראת קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לחדודי לקראת קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה. תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לחדודי לקראת קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לחדודי לקראת קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה. יררי רי 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 רי, יררי רי 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 רי, יררי רי 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 לה 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 לה, יררי רי 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 רי, לה 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 לה, יה לה 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 רי 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 רי, לה 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 לה, לה 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 לה, לה רי רי רי, לה רי רי. Page 18. If you're able, please rise. As we bless the source of life, so we are blessed, and our blessing gives us strength and and makes our visions clear, and our blessing gives us peace, and the courage to dare. As we bless the source of life, so we are blessed. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam vaed. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Hamariv Aravim. Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Welcome to be seated. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavecha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. 24 למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות תוסף אלה, נורא תהילות תוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה. זה אלינו ואמרו, זה אלינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. Page 51, the Amidah. If you're able, please rise. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agi teilatecha. Adonai, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Leah v'Elohei Rachel האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומשה ומגן. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Bezrat Sarah, אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל, אתה רב להושיע, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בגבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. Page 55. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית העולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אור היא לעולם, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש. איי 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 Continue silently. page 61. Yehi ratzon imre fi, yehi ratzon imre fi, egion libi lefanecha, Adonai tzuri vegoali. Oh, may the words of my prayer and my heart's meditations be seen favorably, O eternal, my rock and my redeemer. Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru, ve'imeru. Amen. The Mishaberach prayer can be found on page 67. We think this Shabbat of Yoel ben Moshe, Joyce Holbrook, Janice Book, Mickey Berg, Sharon Burns, Tom Rutan, Linda Tashbook, Cindy Silverman, Carol Pastor, and Marilyn Janiak. If any of you have a loved one whose name you wish to share, someone in need of healing, I invite you as my eyes meet yours to share your loved one's name.
Emma Alvarez. Jessica Christine Kepich.
Wade B. Gone, Mark Rogers, Barbara Clinton, Gary Price, Elizabeth Epstein, Henry, Robert Goldman, Joe Bell, Fred Banner, Olivia,
Sherry Glass, Zoe Marcus, Norm Raymond, Catherine Duncan, and Jeff Daychuk.
Jim Anderson, Don Rudd, Bill Knox,
Angela Cheswick, Alan Cheswick, and all those who deal with addiction.
Gregory Ernestine.
Our thoughts are very much with each of them as we pray together. Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor habracha limotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of say, Amen. It's been a good little while since I've been able to be with you for a service, and I thought I might share just a little bit about what's going on with us, and just a teeny bit about a conference that I just returned from, and then maybe open it up to any questions you might have about that, or really anything else. As I'm sure you've heard me say in the past, that we rabbis have the ability to talk endlessly about things you couldn't care less about. So perhaps by answering questions or trying to, I'll be talking about things that you do want to talk about. So as you know, we've done a lot of travel, but also been in Traverse City once a month, and the beauty of that combination is that I really feel retired, and I'm enjoying it very, very much. You also know that one of the reasons why I retired and why Robert retired was to be able to travel while we're still able, and we are, and so we're doing it. And then with this once a month pulpit in Traverse City, I still get to keep doing what I love doing, and it doesn't feel like an inordinate amount of preparation or being there. Of course, is a beautiful place. So our lives are working out really well despite a lot of the challenges that all of us are feeling locally, nationally, and in the world. I just returned yesterday, from Washington, D.C. I attended the Zionist Rabbinic Coalition Conference. We had the opportunity to listen to a number of speakers over the course of 48 hours. It started Monday afternoon and finished Wednesday afternoon, and we met with a lot of folks from Congress on Capitol Hill. And I learned a lot. I learned some good news. I learned some bad news, and I'm obviously willing to share anything from that or from anything else. I guess I'll give one bit of good news and one bit of bad news from the conference. The good news is that despite the demonstrations that we've been seeing on college campuses around the country, it remains right about 80% of Americans remain really devoted to Israel. They remain sympathetic to Israel's cause, and they remember October 7th, and they believe that Israel has to do what it has to do. That doesn't mean that all of us agree about what that should be, and it certainly doesn't mean that Israelis agree with the government necessarily about how to proceed in this hostile world, but sympathetic to Israel and steadfast in Israel's right to exist as a homeland for the Jewish people, as well as a homeland to the Palestinian people. May it happen in our lifetimes. In the meantime, it's not so, and we have to deal with what we have to deal with. So that was a bit of good news. A bit of bad news, and I didn't know this, but it just has started to leak into the mainstream press. Qatar, a country of about 350,000 people, and also where Hamas has its external headquarters, has been giving billions with a B of dollars to institutions of higher learning in the United States, to politicians, to corporations. The particular example that they shared was with Texas A&M University, where Qatar gave several $billion to that institution alone, and funded research in a number of areas, including areas that could be dual use, meaning military or otherwise. And according to the agreement, Qatar held on to the results of that research exclusively. So basically, Qatar was hiring Texas A&M's researchers to do the work. They paid them to get results that then became the exclusive domain of Qatar. The result of making that public was that the Board of Trustees of Texas A&M met and nipped that program in the bud, rejected the money, and so it's not going to happen. But what we were told by the forensic team that discovered this, and that's a painstaking kind of thing, as you can well imagine. The people who give that kind of money have the ability to stash it under hundreds, thousands of layers of numbers, and so it requires what do they call them? Accounting forensic people who specialize in forensic accounting to unearth these kinds of transactions, which is extremely expensive to do and painstaking and takes a long time. And they discovered this particular payment, but they're also aware that there are probably thousands of other billion-dollar-ish transactions with other universities and corporations and beyond. And so, of course, that made me think that, you know, when the demonstrations started on these college campuses, you know, where's the, you know, why are certain institutions handling it so differently than others? Then it occurred to me that, you know, many philanthropic Jews began to withhold their money from these institutions, and everybody thought that could make a difference, and maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, I don't know. But we're talking about a few 100,000 or a couple of million, you know, right? The Jews who give extremely generously to Harvard or Yale or you name it, you know, it's a couple of $1 million. If these institutions are at the same time getting $1 billion or $2 billion from Qatar, you know, our little bit of leverage is next to nothing. So those were just two tidbits from this conference. There was so much more. I'd really be pleased to share anything about anything that you might want to pick my brain about in the next 5-7 minutes or so. Yeah.
When you found out about that, is it, and it's possible, as you said, that Harvard and the Ivy Leagues are getting billions from Qatar, is our government able to stop that in any way? Can they stop it?
Well, I don't know. I don't know the answer. Menendez, is that his name? The congressman who's currently on trial? Bob Menendez. that came from Qatar, that the money that he's been indicted for. But he's a congressperson, so now you're talking about conflict of interest and being bought and sold by a foreign. So certainly the United States has some leverage there. But in terms of a university, I don't know. But the hardest part is finding it out. You know, even for the United States, it would just require a huge resources to try to, you know, figure out how the money gets from, not from A to B, but from A to Z. Yeah, Ellen.
Okay, so apparently Qatar has unlimited funds. And I'm wondering, since money's not a problem, why they don't just hire all these people, these smart people in all the various institutions that exist, and create their own research farms or whatever in Qatar? What is the advantage to doing it covertly in the States?
Well, again, I don't know exactly. I can imagine that there are lots of really smart people who they might want to hire who don't want to live in Qatar and want to stay with their Ivy League or other institution for all kinds of potential reasons, lifestyle and prestige, et cetera. So yeah, people can be bought and sold for the right amount of money. But apparently they've chosen to do it this way. And they're getting away with it. I mean, if this organization hadn't spent all these resources to try to unbury these numbers, we still wouldn't know about it.
Right, but what is the prohibition against it happening? What law is being broken?
I'm not sure that there is. I'm not sure that there is a broken law.
Exactly, so then we just feel like this is unseemly. We feel like things are going on that we can't see, and we're uncomfortable.
We just need to be aware, and you know, I think it was happening, and we didn't know, and now we sort of do, and what do we do with that information? How do we combat that information, that program, with our much more limited resources? And I don't know, but you can't do anything if you don't know it's happening.
I don't know, missed the beginning of it, but so I guess what I'm thinking about is like whatever's going on with Qatar, but it doesn't change like that, or I don't think it's influencing, maybe it is, that there's thousands of these kids, or I don't know how many who are protesting, who forget about what the college, they feel what Israel doing is wrong. Like that's the problem. I feel like we have, whether it's a problem, you know, whatever's going on in the institution, but you know, that people, I don't know, it's a thing. It's like, that people kids are protesting because they feel what the United States is doing and what Israel is doing is wrong.
For sure,
So I don't
for sure that's a true.
thing, like, you know.
For sure, that's a true statement, but not as pervasive, perhaps, as you might think. And this is totally anecdotal, what I'm about to say, and then I'll bring it home. I've got a little bit of a low back problem at the moment, and I'm getting physical therapy. And yesterday, the tech guy who was putting me through the torture, his name is Matt. He just graduated from Michigan State a week or two ago. And I asked him if there had been protests there. And of course I knew the answer, but I asked him anyway. And I didn't say any, he doesn't know I'm Jewish, he doesn't know I'm a rabbi, he doesn't know anything about me. And he confirmed that there had been, and he volunteered that a friend had asked him to go. And he did. And he said, I don't know anything about the issue. I don't know anything about what they were saying or why they were doing what they were doing. But I went that one day and realized that that's really not for me because I have no feelings about it at all. So not everybody who's there is knowledgeable. We've all seen, the reports, the videos of, from the river to the sea, and then you ask which river and which sea, and they have no idea. So I think there's a lot of ignorance among many. I think there is an organized leadership, potentially paid for by Qatar or others, and they're fomenting this unrest. And part of it, I'm sure, is genuine, real feelings of anger about how Israel is prosecuting the war. And for others, it's a college thing to do. They saw it happen for Vietnam and other things, and they're young, and they just want to get out. And we were all there, right? I participated in similar ill-advised kinds of things when I was that age. So we shouldn't overestimate who has these feelings, nor should we underestimate it. I think if we're honest, all of us, we don't know what we would do differently, but we know that we don't like what we see.
Yeah, I guess I'm saying, I feel like we shouldn't just discount real feelings.
Right.
Or perception, whether we agree or don't agree, among a lot of certain people, and especially people on college campuses, of what Israel's doing, and really what the United States is doing too, by supporting it. By saying, oh, there's the fifth column, there's Qatar. No, there's people that are really not happy, right? I think it's
Right, but part of me wants to discount that a bit because you don't hear them chanting for the release of the hostages.
Right.
They weren't out for the last 15 years protesting how Hamas treats their own people. They're saying nothing about Sudan or there are all kinds of places in the world where horrible things are happening, and to concentrate exclusively on Israel's prosecution of a war that they didn't start points in some measure to where they were before October 7th. And in that sense, it doesn't have as much to do with anything Israel
There's
does.
also the U.S. funding, which is not true about Sudan necessarily. Well, I don't know. It's funding, but not necessarily true about the leaders. This is directly, at least from that perception, that the United States is funding this, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and all of us are, all of us wish there were a better way. None of us know what that way would be, but all of us wish there were a better way. War is horrible.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear about the 80%. I'm gonna cry. But are you scared for Jews? Are you scared for us? Are you scared for all of us and our safety?
I wouldn't probably use the word scared, but concerned, absolutely. And as the child of Holocaust survivors, I can't help but see early warning signs in this country in multiple fronts, the far right and the far left, and it's tremendously concerning. And I think we need to be vigilant, and we've never had the luxury of sugarcoating our situation. We have to see it for what it is and talk about it and admit it and do everything we can do to combat it. And I've said this here and other places, have a plan that we hope never to have to implement, but that would be leaving the United States. It could be that, it could be a different country, it could be Canada, it could be if we have a tie to another South America. I mean, there are all kinds of places potentially, though honestly, those seem to be evaporating as we speak. You know, my family was from Holland, a bastion of liberal thinking in Europe, where they did everything first, you know. They just elected, and they're taking power next week. The most right-wing party in the Netherlands is the head is going to be the prime minister. So you know, where I thought maybe Holland might be a place where we could flee, that doesn't seem like a possibility. So what's different than the 1930s is that many countries wouldn't take us, but the problems were localized to Germany and then ultimately all of Europe. Today, these threats to us are global. And that is very concerning. So we just have to keep our eyes open. The analogy I gave was, you know, for those who have anxiety now and again, just having an Ativan in the pocket, you don't have to take it. Just knowing it's there it helps. And so just having a plan is comforting, and while we fervently hope to never have to use it. Two more.
I was just going to ask you, you said there was good and bad things that came out of the conference. Could you share some more good?
No.
Was it
No.
That was the key.
Well, one piece of good news, I believe, is that far fewer civilians have been killed in Gaza than than the world has believed, based on Hamas's numbers, by about 10,000. So where the total was believed to be about 35,000 casualties, including Hamas. Now it's 25,000, including Hamas. Israel says that they've killed 17,000 Hamas terrorists, which leaves 8,000 women, children, non-combatants killed, which is still horrific. And any human being with any kind of conscience has to hear that and not just hear 7,000, but you know, that's 7,000 souls. But it's not 17,000. And so that is comforting to me.
I guess I would question, like, from what I've heard. You know, our attention is selective, and I think our hearts are with Israel. But when you look at it, because you have that connection and see, I'm talking about not just war bullets, I'm talking bombs, I'm talking starvation, I'm talking, you know, all the horrors of war that were never talked about and moved to are right in front of our noses, and both sides, on both sides. I feel a need to somehow be almost apolitical because it's so horrendous. There's not any excuse for what's happening on the ground there. I mean, it can be stopped. It can be stopped. And the thing that I really struggle with is Israel has
Yeah.
You have a sense.
Yeah, no, and I wish it was over, and I certainly thought it would be a long time ago. This is dragging on horrifically slowly. I don't know how any country, however, could abide Hamas on their border. You know, if people from Ontario had come to Detroit and done what Hamas did on October 7th, and then went back to Ontario, would we be able to stop short of making sure that no more perpetrators who just want to do it again and again and again are left?
Well, that maybe we're different because I don't think there's any way to stop.
A lot of people make that argument, and
You're having a whole slew of, and you're starting a generation now. You guys.
yeah. I mean, there are. I mean, what's true is you can't militarily fight an ideology, but you can fight the perpetrators of rape and murder of innocent people. And I just saw this quote. I hate quotes, but this one rings true, especially in light of some of the recent developments worldwide. That the world is, if only the world cared as much about the rape and murder of and abject abuse of women on October 7th, Jewish women on October 7th, as much as they care about the perpetrators of that rape, we'd live in a better world. But it just seems like much of the world, Israel has never been allowed to finish a war. Every single time they take the hit, then they fight back, and short of a victory, the world demands that Israel stop. You know, we fought the Nazis to the end. We fought many wars to the end, not Vietnam, and not Korea, but many wars are fought until somebody raises a white flag. And this war would end this minute if the hostages were released. This minute it would be over if the hostages were released. You don't believe that?
I know you wanted to cut this off.
Yeah, I do.
NPR ran a series of stories approximately a month and a half ago that, and surprisingly this coming out of Netanyahu's government, is that they are actually studying the Marshall Plan that was instituted in Europe post-World War II, which included denazification and re-education for the non-war criminal Nazis, that they were studying and planning out a Marshall-style plan. Now, that's old news. I don't know, obviously I don't know what's going on in Israel right now, but I personally think that is the path where Israel can win the peace, if that is in fact a true story. And I'm sorry for...
Yeah, no, it's okay. There have been a number of examples of being able to. The Khmer Rouge in Cambodia is a good example. That we fought that fight, we defeated them, and then we re-educated the population. And Cambodia is a functioning country today, not under that brutal regime. So it's possible to do. That doesn't mean we'll figure it out, but and just because we don't know about the day after doesn't mean that they're not thinking about it. You know, let's say that the day after was something that they wouldn't want the world to know or wouldn't want Hamas to know yet, then you're not going to release it. Just because we don't know doesn't mean nobody knows. Dina?
The good news is that we can sit here together
Right.
and we can talk about this, and that you come here and open this up, and we all feel so powerful. But being here tonight together, I don't think was alone, and I really appreciate that. And I appreciate all the comments.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let me say one more thing in response to that. If there was ever to be an institution or institutions that prized debate and argument and research and scholarship and honoring divergent opinion and fomenting an environment where multiple points of view can come into contact with one another and study it and work on it and try to figure it out together and maybe not succeed. It's academia. It's the universities of our country, of the world. And of all things, that is where, if you disagree, you're out. If you have a divergent opinion, you're out. I will not listen to you. I will not associate with you. I will not befriend you. You're out of the sorority. You're out of the fraternity. Stay off of this plot of land. And that's what Jewish students are feeling on these campuses. That people who they thought were friends, their roommates with whom they got along really well, are being ghosted because they're Jewish, and so somehow our institutions of higher learning have taken a horrific left or right turn. And made it impossible for students to talk in a civilized way. And I agree with you, Dina. Thank you so much to all of us for being able to do this with love and with care. We don't all have to agree, but we can still talk and hug each other at the end. All right. Some announcements. Karen.
Has nothing to do with the last topic. Can you come once a month to Shirtikva and run a service like you do in Jersey?
I'm happy to come as often as I can. I love doing it, and but the way it works is the weekends. I'm sorry, went down the wrong hole. The weekends that Rabbi Elisha is not going to be here, then gets distributed to me first. And I volunteer to lead any of the services I can from that list. Sometimes it's 4 or 5, sometimes it's 2 or 3. Very often there are times when I'm out of town or in Traverse City or for some other reason unavailable. And then it goes to all of the incredible lay leaders who lead services. So I get first crack at all of the ones that I can do. Marcia?
Thank you.
Sure.
Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom.
shalom.
On behalf of the Board of Trustees and our members, I'd like to extend a special welcome to all of our congregants and anyone visiting us this evening. If there's anybody visiting, I'd like to meet with you afterwards. We need your help. Ferndale Pride is Saturday, June 1st. Jane Lorenzell is heading up the volunteers for this event. Please go to sheertikva.org to register on the Genius Sign Up to Volunteer, or you can find the QR code link
I can't, I'm sorry. Yeah. I was asked, but I can't do it.
Lunch and Learn with Rabbi Elisha is Tuesday, June 11th at noon, usually in the library. Virtual Tikkun Shavuot. Join the URJ for a night of learning on June 11th, starting at 8 p.m. until June 12th at 9 a.m. if anybody can stay up all night. I think a lot of us can't do that anymore. Hey, yes, they are. To register for this event, please see the flyer in our lobby. Click on the QR code to register, or you can go to our website, sharetikva.org. You can do part of it, you don't have to do the whole thing. So if you want to do part of it, that's fine. You don't have to stay up all night, it's okay. CST annual meeting, save the date, Wednesday, June 19th at 7 p.m. in person or on Zoom if you can't attend in person, and you can still vote on Zoom. There's a poll that you can vote on. We need to register on our website, sharetikva.org, so we can ensure a quorum. We're voting on the new bylaws and on the slate, so it's important that we have a quorum in order to vote. Camp Tikva is August 23rd through 25th. Registration is now open. Please go to our website to register, or you can click on the QR code on the flyer in our lobby. The membership committee is putting together a cookbook. Please see the Schreier or the CST website for more information. We are looking for people to sponsor Onex. If you are interested in sponsoring an Onex, please contact Tessa Bolter. And thank you to the people who sponsored the pre-night tonight. That was very nice. And Shabbat Shalom to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia. One more teeny thing, though it's not. One way to respond to are you pro-Israel or are you pro-Palestine? Are you anti-Israel? Are you anti-Palestine? Are you Zionist? Are you an anti-Zionist? The way to respond to all of that is I am pro-peace. And that is sadly what is so lacking from the university protests. It's it's clearly anti-Israel and pro-Palestine, as if they can't exist together. And all of us who are pro-peace have to believe that there is a way, and please God, will be a way for Israel's not going anywhere, and Palestinians aren't going anywhere. We've got to figure out a way for both peoples to have space in that land. And so the answer is not for Israel's 7 million Jews to be expelled. That's not going to lead, it's not going to happen. And it's not going to happen that the Palestinians get expelled. So the only way to peace is for both peoples to find space there and live in peace. The Mourner's Kaddish is on page 78. All of us grieve for the family of Ed Whitcow, who passed today, I believe. Past president of our congregation, and all of us have really fond memories of the Whitcow family, who've been around for a while, and our hearts are with them. And we also mourn the passing of Barbara Saul, and extend our condolences to her family. And we observe the yahrzeit in the Shabbat of Bernice Booker, mother of Larry Booker, Ida Lober, mother of Harriet Weiner, Gary Wengrow, brother of Irv Wengrow, and Abe Spitzer, father of Rich Spitzer. If any of you are observing Shiva, Shloshim, or Yahrzeit, and we haven't mentioned your loved one's name, please do.
She was praying for my father-in-law, Raxol,
Ted?
My father's yard second brigade, 19.
My cousin Howard Golden, it's Memorial Day. Petty Officer Second Class Joseph Cheezick died in the Battle of Okinawa. Staff Sergeant Greg Appicelli, Specialist 4 shot